Dear valued customer, we'd like to thank you for another fantastic year in gaming. We've achieved so much this year, and we couldn't have done it without you. We've out-earned 2016 by a substantial margin, broken posting records on Reddit, and stood alongside our trusted friends Comcast and AT&T in winning American-wide industry awards again and again. So what's ahead for us in 2018? Well, we'll be looking beyond the long-forgotten single-player games to build you the very best in what Sony can't offer. Games you can order before the first trailer drops, additional content far and wide to truly tailor to your experience, and the chance to buy everything in a new and engaging randomized currency system. Merry Christmas to you all, and a wonderful new year. Best wishes, EA. Yay. Anyway, welcome to Discussion Mode. I'm Brian Hayes, hosting this thing as I normally do. Joining me, as always, is Mitchell.
Hello.
I'm genuinely shocked there's not some kind of weird one-liner there.
I hadn't thought of anything.
Good, good. And welcome back, of course, Russell.
2017, whoop whoop!
See, that isn't, that's a funny intro line, Mitch. That's what we expect from you. It's stipulated in the contract.
I'm sick. I'm taking that as my reasons.
I had to fill in for Mitch on this one.
Yeah. So this is our sort of wrap-up show for 2017. We're going to take you through the good and the bad of the year and what we're looking forward to in the future. Of course, here we're focusing on gaming because that's the center of the universe. So we've made a quick list here of all the shitty things that happened in 2017, just in case you were feeling positive this morning. So we've had the year launch excellently with Mass Effect Andromeda, which everyone was hyped for, and then it turned out to be... Well, basically, it looked like a really, really good Unity developer had to put together a Mass Effect game and forgotten to write any level of character development or story. I literally have no idea why any of my characters were motivated to do anything. I met my sister for 3 seconds, she went comatose, and that was meant to be my motivator. It was a letdown.
The tragedy of the year.
The tragedy, genuinely was. I bought a new computer to play that game.
They destroyed a beloved franchise the way only EA can.
Only EA can. Speaking of EA, company closures. I mean, they haven't. We're just, stipulating. We've had multiple companies disappeared this year. Most importantly, Visceral.
Rest in peace.
I think everyone... Rest in peace, Visceral Games. I think everyone has already said everything that needs to be said about the loss of Visceral Games.
And no one cares about EA Montreal.
No, they really don't, actually. What was EA Montreal known for?
Andromeda.
Yeah, no. See, no one cares. What we do care about, at least me, we lost Star Wars 1313, which was looking like it was going to be like the first Star Wars game where you weren't a Jedi and was single player in an incredibly long time.
Well, lost what would have succeeded off it, but...
Yeah, it's not actually Star Wars 1313. It's like...
What was it in the end called?
It didn't have a name. It was called I think it was called the Amy Henning Visceral Star Wars.
Yeah, they
That's
hadn't
it was
even
full
named
title.
it.
In my heart, she'll always be 1313. And then, of course, we also lost Scalebound. We're not sure why we're necessarily sad we lost Scalebound. It's just we saw so much of it and it was so close to release. It's kind of like, if the waiter's bringing you what looks like a really crap dinner but then takes it away, you want it anyway because you paid for it. That's Scalebound within the games community.
But luckily for Platinum, they had Nier Automata.
Well, yeah, they kind of made up for it there. I think that's winning every other game of the year, isn't it, besides Breath of the Wild?
It's winning a fair few.
Yeah.
It's winning some, yeah.
Speaking of not winning things, we had Bethesda's paid mods attempted return, which
they
Mitch
have
and I had a rather famous argument over. Yeah, they have returned. I think they modified it slightly, and still no one is happy.
Yeah, no one's ever going to be happy about that, but whatever. It is what it is.
But, we'll live. And then, of course, as we've discussed previously on this show, loot boxes came back in full force. Pay to win has been a constant debate topic across the entire spectrum of everything from mobile up to, I don't know. I feel like you're going to be able to pay to win primary school baseball games at some point. I mean, I would do that, but, I'm petty. But 2017 wasn't all bad. So we thought we'd pick through and find some of the best things that games managed to do this year that we think should be carried through into the new year. And Mitch, you've been playing through a game super recently just to try and talk about it. You want to take us through it?
So yeah, I've been playing Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which, as a game, it's basically just a hack and slash thing, but that is not why it's an important game. It's important because of the way it tackles psychosis, which is a illness that affects the mind and that affects the character Senua. So the way they do that is by freaking the shit out of you, because wearing headphones, you got voices coming from everywhere. So it's like you're always constantly being doubted to. I think it's Senua's inner demons, basically, because that's how that works. Just talking to you the whole time, trying to make you feel bad. So through the whole game, you're just being told how bad you are at it, which is different than someone being next to you and telling you you're shit at this game.
So it actually properly emulates some level of depression via putting voices in your head.
Well, psychosis, yeah, but yeah, so it's really well voiced. If it's actually really creepy and makes you feel a bit odd at times, just hearing all this whisper in your ear. But it's an experience I've never had in a game before, and it was so different and out there. It's interesting that games have never tried something like that before, to try and tell a story through illness as the way, because she's talking about this darkness the whole game, but that's just the voices in her head, because obviously it's set in the past where to her it would have been like demons or something and she wouldn't understand it. But it really isn't, because all the enemies are basically Vikings, but because of what she has, she just portrays them as these creatures, and it's a really interesting way to kind of tie the story together with what she sees. So yeah, it's really good to see games try and tackle something different, and to try and see how they can use certain things to play to their benefit and see what we can do. So it's really the only way you could do that is through video games, and that's why I reckon this game's special.
Yeah, and it's one of the most significant things for Hellblade is the audio, in the sense of the 3D audio, the amplification of the effect
audio design. It's perfect.
Yeah, as where it's so strong, which kind of connects into Resident Evil 7, which was what my game I'll pick, and that is the audio is such an impactful feature for not only atmosphering you into something, and VR that's significant, but in a horror game as well. So it's almost collaborating or combining two key elements of how to amplify a horrific experience, and Resident Evil 7 does it in such a successful way. So just the amplification of suddenly being in an area, an unknown location, with a VR headset, not knowing it, the graphical detail on display, and then just these audio sounds and cues coming off from the background, and just the Onsen scare effect. Hellblade just reminds me of how often you could be scared in that game just because of the audio effects, even though it's not even really a horror game, but it just kind of is because of the crazy psychosis. But Resident Evil it is a horror game, but it's got the same feeling, but it's not psychosis, but it almost is, just because of the aspect of the uncertainty of everything, where it's just shit, what is that audio? And it's just impeccable sound design. It's just it's just a key trait of a good horror game, and Resident Evil does it so successfully. Another key point is just the game's ability to personify or amplify viewing a 3D environment in VR that actually looks really good. So many other VR games, typically when they make the visuals, it just doesn't look that great. It's so muddy. VR's inherently got that problem. Just having a significant developer with more money behind it just helps just make the immersion so much more than it otherwise would be. And something else, of course, is just having the good developer actually make a good game from the get-go. So many of these VR games are really just we can scare people in VR because obviously you're now in a first-person perspective and it's so immersive in general. So they just make kind of a pretty crappy horror game that looks horrible, and it doesn't really have anything that's good other than it's scarier now because you're there. Where Resident Evil's Resident Evil's no, we're going to make a solid game that's playable in VR and not. Great either way, and then actually go, what can you do in VR that suddenly makes it more impactful? Sound, as I mentioned, but also the ability to use your head as not only a weapon in this game, because you can quite literally control your first-person aim of a gun with your head. So you just go, boom, bang, bang, which is quite fun. You can also get this just interesting immersion by hiding. So you can physically hide your body. So there's a lot of chasing areas where it's a villain of some kind is chasing you. And you can hide. You can physically duck down and your body will duck down. You can look around corners. You can kind of push into doors. all those little touches just make it such an immersive experience. And I really do think that Resident Evil 7 has like started something for AAA developers and go, oh, you can make a AAA game, fans will like it, and it won't just be like a tacked on add-on. Like, we can make something significant. And we've seen that with Bethesda. I expect, of course, Sony has to back it. They've got the device. But I expect other developers, maybe Microsoft, maybe not, I don't know, I'm not sure, will start to invest or look into it further.
Well, talking about VR, it's not the only important hardware thing that's come out this year. And it's impossible to talk about this year without mentioning the Nintendo Switch. Because that took the year by storm, and it's almost outsold the Wii U in a year. So, I mean, it's not hard, but it's nice to know they're not failing like that. They did. So, I think the important part was that it's a hybrid console. Like, it's definitely the fact that you can take it anywhere. Take all these great games wherever you want to go. It's quite a good thing for Nintendo to finally combine what they've always done well, handheld, and their console side of things. I mean, they haven't done that well lately, but now they are. But the main part that I think was important is about the game they introduced us at the start of the year. Very early on was Breath of the Wild, which gave us the Zelda unlike we've ever seen before. So it took Zelda through into a world where physics matters, where you can push boulders to solve puzzles, you can do all kinds of things with that. And it's kind of a shift in the way Nintendo design games. Well, it's like they've also started to go with the whole world is kind of the puzzle. So, like, the world is covered in little activities and things that actually are to do with some kind of thing that you unlock. So, like, Super Mario Odyssey does the same thing where anything is a moon. Like, the environment makes a huge impact of Breath of the Wild as well. Like, the temperatures become the puzzle. So, how are you going to make it to here without burning to death? Well, you're going to have to find something to do that. Or how are you going to climb this mountain? Well, you're going to have to work out how to stay warm. So, it's all kind of combining all these elements to create this really great game that is all about its systems.
And that's what I found really fascinating about Breath of the Wild. And I haven't played through much of it, but what I respected in it was the fact that every puzzle didn't have a single answer. From what I understand, you can more or less bullshit a way through something. And the game's like, yeah, we accept this. You can just fling yourself across half the map. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. We saw you do it. That's a valid solution to this problem. And just like...
You can make a floating minecart using a little magnet tool. It's fine. We're cool with that.
And as far as I understand it, they've thought through these scenarios, though. I don't think you're breaking the game. You are genuinely solving these puzzles. It's what Scribblenauts wanted to be, basically. But with that, remember Scribblenauts? Scribblenauts was great. But with that, we should just wrap up here. So, from what we've basically said, our three best takeaways from gaming this year was a way of representing basically the voices in your head, the way of truly developing horror through VR, and how great would it be if they do both of those together. That's what I want to play. And truly removing puzzles from rails. They're kind of like the last mechanic that still sat in their own little box. So pulling that out actually just into the natural flow of gameplay. But with that, unless you guys have any greetings you want to say, I'm going to say Merry Christmas, though it already happened. Happy New Year, though it'll probably have already happened by the time this is released. And welcome to 2018.
2018, what's next? Who can tell?
Ooh, 2018, whoop whoop.
Ooh, party like it's 1999.
I can't do comedy